indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We're down one member of our board. And we have one who is remote, is not yet in, I believe.
Not yet, okay.
Kylie, if you could, the roll call, please.
Lehman,
Here.
Underwood,
Here.
Brown. We are waiting then.
Yeah, just put them for now, absent.
And absent, and Gilman.
All right. We have a quorum. And I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion. Second.
And just, we have a motion and a second, just the item B under action items. It's, we don't need to vacate the chair, but we can discuss what our next steps are at that point. Roll call, please.
We don't.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
For that, okay, yeah.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown, absent, excuse, Lehman,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes, all right. That brings us to a conflict of interest. Does anyone here have a conflict of interest? Any of the items? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to our first public comment. Do we have anybody for public comment here? Please.
Do you have an appointment? I'm sorry, do you have an appointment?
I do, yeah.
Okay, we'll get to you next.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So no public comment. People in the gallery here for appointments. That moves us to our appointments. Our action items. Item A, we'll start off with beaver issue on Euchre Road.
Yes.
All right, if you can step right up to the podium, please.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Well, my name's Dave Combos. I live in Grawn, not too far from Euchre Road. And the reason I'm here tonight is to talk about a beaver issue. There's a culvert that goes under Euchre Road, and it drains a lot of the hills south of Euchre. A lot of water goes through that in the duck lake, a lot of water. And what happens is that the beavers, like the culvert also, they block it up, and blocks it up, water can't flow. And then it backs up all the property around us, including mine. And then we call the road commission, or they come out on their own, and they clear out the beaver dams, and 3-4 guys out, piece of machinery, half a day, clearing out the debris. And then no sooner that they're gone, a couple days later, here comes the water, here comes the beavers.
They're industrious.
Oh, geez, honest. I've lived there for 12 years. And it goes in spurts. We didn't have a problem. And then I got somebody a couple of years ago from the DNR to come out and trap them for us. And we didn't have a problem for a couple of years. And now it's bad again. And I called the road commission. I said, well, why don't we get rid of the beavers instead of coming up, sending the road commission out, 3 guys, 3 or 4 times a year, machinery doing it. And so, well, we couldn't find anybody to trap it. So I came up with somebody, a local guy that traps beavers. In fact, he works Sutton's Bay. He's done some work in Grand Traverse, and he charged $800, which is a lot of money. I know it's a lot of money to trap some stupid beavers. So my question is, rather than sending out the guys and the trucks and the expense and a possible injury, something happened with the guys, why don't we just trap these beavers and it lasts for a year or 2? I even commented that I'd even, ante in a little bit, so, to help the expense.
Have you called the DNR this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did call the DNR.
I have a point here, just to interject real quick. We do have a permit with the DNR to have somebody do it. The person that was doing it, he is here for a while, and then he is gone on work. I don't know exactly where he works, but when he comes back, he always has the option to go out. I know Heather knows him also, and we can make a call to him and see if he is available to go out and try and trap. And if not, when he is next in the area, have him go out, because he goes out and he actually will trap them.
So we have a regular Daniel Boone.
Yeah, but he is he is the one that we've had, he took care of the beavers that we had on Supply Road for us. He was out there for a while and he got like 6 of them, so
All right, so what's the timetable?
we will have to find out.
This has been going on all year.
Okay.
And you guys have to come out again because the water's backed up bad again. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's high. So it needs to be cleaned out soon because it's eroding the bank, not to mention the property. And if you did have somebody to trap it, I've been dancing with the road commission for all year saying, come on, we don't have nobody, come on. If you've had somebody, I mean, this is November, we've been doing this for,
Yeah.
so, I'm not trying to be nasty about it, but for Christ's sakes, I mean,
Okay,
We will talk to, we will
Okay.
call up and try and see what his availability is, and if not, we have a second person that's willing to come in and do it also.
Okay.
They just have to come in and make sure that they
All
are
right.
gonna do it the right way.
and you said you had somebody otherwise, I mean, is
I
it,
gave it to the,
okay, so we
I
have
do
your,
have somebody.
okay, but we have the information for you.
Yeah, I gave it to,
Is it trap and transfer or is it?
No,
Trap and make half.
they turn them into gloves and
Sweet.
stuff like that,
So
so.
they're warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
so that's it. If you could just call me, let me know where we're at. Is that possible?
Yeah, does Kylie have your phone number?
I'll make sure.
Okay,
we get it.
Yeah, and we will get it taken care of, we'll call you when we know it, we'll try and call him tomorrow. or-
Yeah, we got them all over the place.
I know you do, and it-
I mean,
I know,
it's
and
the
like,
nature of the beast, pardon the pun,
but it goes in spurts,
It does.
but like I say.
Because I know we have another one on 633 where the creek goes across 633 out the north, farther north than there. There's another one.
Another one, yeah.
That they're supposed to be trying to trap for us too.
Same family.
So there's a lot of them.
Okay, thanks for hearing me.
All right,
You need my number? Or you want-
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
all right. Bill,
thank you.
Bill Zip on the OHM report here. Something to hear.
Yeah, hi, welcome. I mean, not welcome. Thanks for letting me come again. I enjoy coming up here and seeing you guys in person. Stuff doesn't work for me. First, I'd like to, express my condolences for Bill's passing. He's a wonderful man. It's a sad thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do is give you an update on what we've been doing and what we're planning on doing for the rest of the job. I think there was an update in your packet, but I wrote it, so I'll pretty much tell you. We had a lag meeting recently, the end of September. We had a lag meeting. We met with the Grand Traverse County Conservation District, Steve Largent, and I forgot the executive director's name. We met with him as well. It showed us what we need to look at along the river. It's all parkland, and that whole corridor is mostly parkland. All of the alternatives, as you'll see, have some impact on the parkland. Those meetings, we discovered several things. So one of the things we discovered was the conservation easement over the Robbins farm, which is on the west side of Cass Road. As it swings north, if you go straight across the river, you'll run into the Robbins farm. There's a conservation easement over that. It's a permanent easement, and there virtually you can do nothing with it. That has an effect on one of the alignments. We also discovered that the railroad that runs on the west side of Cass Road, it's owned by the state of Michigan. It's owned by MDOT. They have a operating agreement with Great Lakes Central Railroad, and we've been in touch with them. They do not want to abandon that railroad, even though it's virtually not used, but they have plans. So they don't want to abandon that railroad. So it has to be kept in place. And the grade at that is substantially higher, the railroad grade at where the alignment would cross from Cass Road is significantly higher, so
So build up that
we'd have to go under it.
or under.
Yeah, that we can't go over it. The complexity, we couldn't even get to Keystone if we tried to go up
Got it.
over that. So it'd be very difficult, be an engineering challenge, and the impacts to that would be significant. So anyway, that's what we're looking at. One of the things that's going under the railroad, and interestingly enough, there's wetland, trapped water in that area. We one of the things we did in the last month, GEI representative went out, Stu Kogi went out with us and did some more evaluation of wetlands out there, and found that area is very wet. It's very high, but it's very wet. Even the engineering challenge to cut a tunnel through that would be impactful to that wetland as well. So what I want to do today, that's what we've done. We're preparing now for the second public hearing. We had our first public hearing back in July. We're planning for another public meeting I said hearing, didn't I? I didn't mean hearing, it's public meeting. We're planning on November 9th, same location. It's an evening meeting. I think we just got the public notice out.
Yes.
We're still back and forth with some email addresses. I will work with Matt McCauley to try to get those resolved. So that's upcoming. This you've seen before. This is a constraints map. I just brought it along because it's a real nice overview of the whole project area. This is the latest alternative mapping that we've done. This is the same we showed this is revised since our public meeting in July, and it is the same basic one that the same one that we showed at the LAG meeting a couple weeks ago. At this point, there are three basic alignments that we're looking at. The Hartman-Hammond alignment with the variant that cuts over to US 31, the Sabin Dam alternative cuts through the middle, and the Cass Road alignment, which utilizes the existing crossing. The things we discovered in the last month, and we're still evolving and we're still discovering things. We're making no judgments yet. We're still evaluating these basic alternatives. The parkland along the river, there's major impacts to that, to the parkland. We met with the district, and they're planning actually of putting a bridge across the Boardman at the old Sabin Dam location. They're preparing for a
pedestrian bridge?
Yeah, pedestrian bridge, yes. They're preparing for they call it an incubation farm. And, they're very excited about it. And I said, well, what are you incubating? And they said, youth. So they're training farmers, basically. It's kind of cool, actually. So I'm not sure that any of our alignments would have an effect on that, but certainly the Sabin Dam alternative cuts right through a very active area of the park. The conservation easement that we established, that we found is on the Robbins property, which is right here. It's the Robbins farm. This cuts right through it. So it's, the whole park land is, if you're familiar with Federal Highways 4F procedures, it's a process to evaluate impacts, to determine feasible improvement alternatives. And if there are none and you still need to do that, the documentation of the feature, it's all set up to protect parklands, recreational facilities, public stuff, and actually the entire parkland, the entire project, or the entire river area is 4F property. Even up here, if you recall, what we are looking at is the high bridge alternative up at Hartman-Hammond, and even that will have some effect on the wetland and the parkland. The impacts to 4F properties up here are not as significant as they are down here. You can mitigate damages. We've been in contact with MDOT. We met with them to discuss the projects, all the alternatives. They have some concerns over grade. As you know, if you're driving on there, it's about a 5% grade, which is pretty steep. Right now, there's not a stop control going on there, but if we come out at any location, we'll most likely have a traffic signal. And stopping on a 5% downgrade on where the traffic signal is not the best thing. Go ahead, Jason, you have a question?
Well, the thought at one point was potentially a roundabout for that to keep traffic moving instead of a traffic signal.
That's an option. We're not, at this point,
I mean, because
those
if
would be
we're building out and we're considering doing something like that in a rural environment, that'd be the time to do it versus going back and saying, oh, maybe this is what, we should have done. But
that certainly is something that's post Pell.
okay,
Those are more along the lines of design
the design at
modifications.
once we get to that corner, we'll worry about how to get cars up.
The biggest issue is the grade. And we initially thought that the flat area was right up around Civil Pines. It's not, it's up here.
Yeah,
And so we're evaluating what can be done. But our basic focus is in the corridor area and the wetlands and all the environmental impacts in here. And then this is a relatively minor issue. It's not something that can be ignored. But as we evolve in the NEPA process, we're looking at it. So what else did I want to talk about? Do you have any questions at this point for me?
Just one thing you did not say, the meeting on the 9th is at 5:30 at
5:30. Yes, it's an evening. I just said it was an evening
Yeah.
meeting,
5:30.
5:30 to 7:30, and it's at Networks Northwest, their conference center. You were there at the first.
I was there for the other one.
It'll be the same
I'll be
one.
there for this one.
We anticipate a third public meeting as well, but depending on how the crowd at this one happens, we may need a bigger facility. And I think you guys had a big monster one at the last.
We have the option, we can always go back to Haggerty if we need to, or we could also potentially use
The
East.
nice thing about Network Northwest is cheap.
Yeah, there's no cost.
Right.
So,
From what I understand, they've improved even since the last meeting,
yeah,
their technology.
we were there on Monday for a staff.
Larry might not have such a hard time.
Yeah, they've got 3 big TVs so everybody can see it. They've got cameras and everything set up to record, so it's a lot better.
You may not have to bring anything, huh?
No, I don't.
Do it all wireless.
They got all the cameras if we need there.
We'll be talking in the next couple of weeks. We're preparing for that right now, as a matter of fact.
You have any questions for him?
I guess you updated us. I guess that's.
My goal. We're still working, we're still evaluating impacts.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and kind of keeping us surprised. I can see that the bottom two are getting a little more resistance now that they're getting looked at a little closer and maybe working with Steve, he can give us a little support for the one that's going to be the way to go.
Well, we're not making any judgments at this point, we're definitely, we even had, because of where this flat spot is, we have looked at what it would take to move this connection up here. And so we looked at the property on the opposite side. It's privately owned. It's not remarkable from an environmental standpoint. And as a matter of fact, if you've been out there, it's a dumping ground.
Yeah, I'm just, my own personal take on it is the straight across thing as much as possible. And if we have to do some leveling, we do it at that point.
Yes. We have to look at all the options.
I understand it, but I just.
It's just dirt, right?
Right, it's just dirt, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Any other questions?
Great, thanks.
I don't want to get in anybody's way. I'll take this stuff out and
All
I'll.
right,
We do have Carl.
okay. Carl, if you could just let us know where you're at and let us know if you're being held hostage or being influenced in any way by anybody nearby.
No, I'm all by myself here and I'm good to go.
Okay, where are you at?
I am in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay, so Carl is joining us from Chattanooga, Tennessee by Zoom. The remainder of the meeting.
Yes.
All right. Okay, that brings us up to item.
Do you want to make a motion to see him?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
Normally Robert's rules.
Okay,
Support.
all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. He is seated. Okay. That brings us to item, well, 725 appointment, under appointments, Mission Hills Homeowners Association, Bluff Road.
Good evening, Dan Olson with Mission Hills Joy. First, also want to express my condolences to each of you and family of Mr. Mazur. He's a gentle and kind man. Just by way of update of where we're at, we have proceeded with our shoreline protection work. We are about probably only a couple weeks away from finishing our work. So the contractor's been moving from the southern property, which is owned by the Hefner family, and has been moving northward. So he's beginning to stage stone and start engaging in our property, but he's still finishing up, I think there's 2 southern properties as well. So probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll have probably a completed project that will cover about 450 feet or so of shoreline. And our permit, our HOA, we have roughly 350 feet of shoreline. We have a permit for 300. We only were going up to 200 feet, which stops us just short of the north washout area. And we're kind of leaving that area kind of untouched for now until, we have some more guidance on what's going to happen with that northern portion. It just, from talking to your engineers, didn't make much sense to start touching that area until we kind of know, what the resolution of that area of the shoreline will be. One thing I would just ask is if before we finish our work, our contractor did build an access road to the west on the other side of the drainage ditch in order to be able to move material in. And he's been utilizing that. And I don't know firsthand if that's going to be completely pulled out when he's done. But if the plans are for him to do that, which I imagine at some point they probably will, if the road commission wants to be able to utilize that access point for either ditch work or anything else in the future, maybe you can contact us. It does go across a couple different properties, so we could help coordinate talking to those property owners to see if you want that left in place temporarily in case you guys want to utilize that. But the contractor did build that ramp down that goes down to the water to the south in order to get his equipment down in the water. And then we have that basically a makeshift roadway on the west side that goes across private property to be able to move material. So I don't know if there's anything that you gentlemen have for me to relate back to the HOA and the residents, but I just want to give you guys an update and would like to invite any of you out to see the finished product so you can kind of put eyes on what's been done and how the lay of land has changed once we're completed.
Who have you used as a contractor?
We're using Jason Welser.
Yeah, right now is a great time to take a drive on them. It's absolutely beautiful. All right. Thank you for your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us up to 6B because the chair is vacated and by default at this point. Typically at that point, if the chair is not available, the vice chair will assume the responsibilities, and just by Robert's rules, that's where we're at. We can, if this board would like to just make it go and flow through for the rest of 2022 as well, since we're only 2 months into it, that would be fine as well, I think.
Yeah.
But I think we need to have some action though that specifies that. And then we need to, right away, we need to have a vice chair nominated.
Yes, and that is the key is, by Robert's rules, when a vacancy occurs, which we do state in our rules that we do follow Robert's rules wherever things are silent, the vice chair automatically becomes the chair. And then you have the option, you still have to say, yes, we agree, that's what we're doing. And then you immediately should fill the vice chair, because that still means without a vice chair, if Jason can't make it, that means we have to start the meeting and go through the procedures with Kylie starting the meeting and going through it. And that's a pain, really. It's just easier right now to select somebody as the vice chair for the next timeframe. And talking to Carrie, she said, you know, because this is something that is outside the normal circumstance, she said there is no issue really with us extending it and saying, look, we're gonna do this for a year and a half, or we can do it for 2 months and then approach it again at the organizational meeting, and that is up to the board to decide.
The senior member on the board, I'd like to get some input from Carl, if you would, please.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, this is something we have to deal with. You know, I guess I'm not opposed to doing it for the year and 2 months, or the 2 months. I guess it you know, it just whatever everybody's feelings are. We would probably flow through with that anyway. So I'm not opposed to doing it for the 2 or the 14. So whatever, you know, whatever Al and Joe think, I'm good with. I think that we would continue on that way anyway. So I'm thinking in January, we would probably make the same appointments.
I concur with that.
Okay. Well, and I should also add that we do have an item I. It's we're going to be setting the schedule for
Well, this is,
2022.
yeah, it's a review at least. You can approve it if you decide that, yes, it's fine, but it's at least a review. We need to review it to make sure we can get it approved before the year starts.
And once the county commission has given us a new member, which we probably expect will be 2 or 3 months from now. At that point, we can reevaluate the assignments for the townships and whatnot. So if I guess we'd be looking for a motion to either seat the vice chair as chair for 2 months, or a motion to seat the vice chair as a chair for 2 months in the year 2022.
I'll make the motion to seat the vice chair as the chair through 2022. So 14 months. Yes.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Carl seconded. All right. Let's take that order of business, and then I want to follow up with the vice chair immediately. If we could do roll call, please. Okay.
Browns,
Yes.
Lehman,
Could we have had further discussion on it?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Let's all.
Oh, sure. I was just thinking we'd go 2 months until we have a new member seated and we organize regularly as we always do.
We will not have, the chances of us having a member seated before the January meeting or in time for the January meeting are fairly slim. Realistically, by the time you figure the county has to find it, do all the interviews and everything else, it's typically, especially with all the holidays built in and the way things are, depending on how we do it, maybe if you say the end, if we select to do the organizational meeting at the end of January and not the beginning of January, maybe it works. But if you try and do it and you do your organizational meeting January 6th, I think, is that what it said? I don't necessarily know that you're gonna have a chair, a member seated at that point.
Can I make another comment?
Sure.
I just to Al, I would find it very odd that a new member coming on would be appointed to either chair or vice chair, not having any experience on the board to start with. So it would either be you or Joe. So, you know, I mean, that would be the change I would think would be made, you know, so you know, unless somebody's opposed to letting somebody else do it for that extra 2 months. I certainly don't think a new board member would be appointed to that position.
Thank you. What's your discussion?
No, okay. All right, anything else? Joe?
Again, I'm gonna concur, Carl, I think.
Okay.
Gonna move through the,
Prevailing.
we're doing the same motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start again. Brown,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes. Okay, and that brings us up to the vice chair. We could go forward. I had spoken with Alan earlier and he had suggested possibly Carl. Carl is currently on vacation and prone to travel from time to time. But either Alan or Joe would probably, for me, would just make more sense.
I agree. You know, I've been on 11 years, and right now I've half of those I've been either chair or vice chair. So I would think Al or Joe, and you know, equally qualified. I guess, you know, I think one of those two should step into that position.
If that's the case, I'd like to see Joe do it.
Whoever speaks first.
Well,
All right.
is that a
Is that a nomination? Yes.
nomination? Okay,
I nominate
all right.
Joe for the vice.
Oh, then I'll that's fine. All right. Any discussion? Want to talk about it for sure? All right. Kylie.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes, okay.
Well, at least Jason's here most of the time. You know, I don't think he's missed, other than the one where he was sick. I don't think he's missed any, so.
All right, okay. And, you know, again, it's all unfortunate. It's kind of put us in a I don't know what to say. It brings us to item C, the consent calendar. Kelly.
The consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Requests by any person present to remove any item from the consent calendar for full discussion as an agenda item are automatically respected. The action noted in parentheses for all items remaining on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following items be adopted. 1, minutes. 2, payroll. 3, accounts payable. 4, financial reports. 5, reports and communications.
All right. Would anybody on the board like to remove anything from the consent calendar?
No.
Anybody in the public here who would like to? Seeing no removals. Kylie, we can take roll call. Oh, we need a motion. That's, thank you.
I'll make a motion. We
Yeah.
consent.
Second.
Thank you. All right.
You can take, he said he's virtual, so we do need roll calls.
Yeah, well, on this, we need roll call because it's money anyway. So,
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Gilman.
yes, all right. So our consent calendar, nothing controversial. All right. Items removed from the consent calendar, and the next item is the manager's review. And, Jennifer, if you could.
So this is just a quick conversation to see how we want to proceed. It's that time of year again to do Brad's review. We have historically, to get you guys up to date, I have a forms through Microsoft or Google. I send it out with a series of questions. and then you've given feedback, and I put that together in a report that I present and about Brad. So I guess the question is do we want to proceed as we've proceeded before? Do we want to do something different? As fabulous as Brad is, he probably does need to have a review done, so I would encourage that, but.
That's what I.
Well, I'd like to go around the room, and I'd like to start with Carl. It's just easier to start with remotely, and if you have any
Oh,
thoughts.
Carl is up there.
I'm here, kinda. So, you know, I think the way we've been doing it in the past, I think here, I think that works very well. I think, you know, the series of questions and that, you get a little more overview from everybody, you know, you can put your little comments in there. I think that procedure has worked very well. I'm not quite sure what your time frame is here, but I think just, you know, anybody new coming on really, other than what knowledge they have, but to evaluate his day to day, I think is pretty much on our four shoulders at this point.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we probably want to proceed with having that done Q4, just so that you have that information available for salary review and all the other financials that go with it, so.
Willing to roll with whatever we roll out here?
Vice Chair.
Yeah.
Defer to you guys a bit.
Sounds great.
All right, yeah.
Is Brad satisfied with the process we've been using?
I've been happy with it. I always do my review in an open meeting, so, and don't pull any punches, you know, I'm a big boy, I can take it if there's a problem. You know, I'm willing to work with it, and I want just, you know, if there's things that you want done differently, let me know.
Okay, well, essentially, so we'll receive from Jennifer.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So do we want to have it done by the November meeting?
I think that would be appropriate. That's a month. That's
Yeah.
plenty of time.
So why don't I plan on getting it out to you all before, where are we right now?
28.
Okay, so in 2 weeks, that would, if I get it out to you in a week and have, you guys have a week to finish it or 2 weeks to finish it, how long?
I think that's enough.
And
It's
then
not that difficult.
Yeah, and that would give me a week to pull it together and have it ready for next time. Should be easy.
All right.
Okay,
Sounds good.
okay, great. So look for an email. And even though you're on vacation, you have to look for.
Yeah.
You have an email if you got a computer.
Yep, you can email it to me. I'll get it filled out.
And if you want, let me know and I can text them. Sometimes that works.
Perfect.
So that they have email.
Yeah,
Oh,
if we're
perfect.
getting close and
Okay,
you're
that's
getting
good.
nervous about getting them in on
Yeah.
time, just, you know.
Yeah,
Gentle reminder.
Yeah, ring the bell or something.
yeah, okay, perfect.
All right, thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay. Brings us to item F.
And Wayne is not here tonight. Joe is taking his place. Wayne's son is in town, so he's only got one night to go out to dinner with us, so figured let him go to see his son.
Yeah, it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
So for item F, the recommendation of award for the 2021 traffic signal modernization. This was a bid for upgrading 2 intersections. They are, there it is, South Airport and Barlow and Long Lake and Barnes. We reached out and received bids by posting it through Mitten and emailing known qualified contractors who do this type of work. Bids came in a little over the engineer's estimate, and the bid came in at $415,695. That's to completely rebuild both intersection signals.
This is outside the scope of Scoot. This
Okay.
is an actual physical upgrade to the intersections, as we had discussed, with needing to start programmatically approaching the signals, because the signals really don't last longer than 25 years. We've got more than 25 signals, so we should be modernizing at least 1 signal every year.
Yeah.
And so we are doing 2 right now because we have 2 that are in rough shape.
Yeah, one the intersection of Barlow and South Airport will be getting what's called a floating box span instead of the diagonal span. So 4 corners and signals out in front, string poles, whole new poles, the infrastructure that's there is completely coming out. New wires run and new poles put up, and then Marlow and Silverlake will be getting mast arms. Silverlake and Silverlake and Marlow. Barnes, that's right. That will be getting 2 mast arms.
I'll make a motion, we proceed with the traffic signal authorization in the amount of $415,695 more or less.
I'll support.
Okay, so Carl.
Okay.
Gotta be quick out of those guys.
Gotta get this done.
All right. What was
Brown?
the, well, hang on just a second here. What was the quote? I'm trying to hear it go.
The engineer's estimate,
Yeah.
$335,409.
Part of the issue is, number one, the mast arms are more expensive.
Okay, see, in this, it's at 415,695. So we need you to, when
He said that.
motion for 315,000.
No, he said 465.
415,695 more or less.
He just said 335.
That was the engineer's estimate.
Oh,
But the
I'm
prices came
sorry.
in high.
I
But
apologize. I'm a little.
The next bid was substantially more than Rank's.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Okay, minimal, right, okay.
And you recommend, and Wayne recommended the low bid.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm great.
And rank is, J rank does a
I just
lot of
didn't hear it.
signals all over
Okay.
the place.
Yeah.
There's note on the bottom, it's material cost.
Just space now. All right, so yes, yeah. Kylie, thanks.
Brown,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes, thank you. Unanimous. Okay, cost participation agreement.
And this resolution is for county board to sign a cost participation agreement for contract with the state of Michigan through MDOT for a federal chip seal program, 15.6 miles of chip seal. And we're asking that the board approve the chair, the vice chair, and the clerk to sign the agreement that's attached for this project.
Give me a chance, Carl.
All right. This is for how many miles is this?
15.6 miles of chip seal. In the memo, there is a list. If you want me to go through the roads, I can.
You don't, I don't think you have to. We have it in front of us too.
Yeah.
So, all right, that entertain a motion or discussion or? Carl?
No, I guess I'm fine with it if, you know, it's just part of the asset management plan moving forward.
Correct. They were all on the list and we pulled out what we could for a federal project.
Excellent.
And
We weren't able to find a buyer of our federal aid, so this was plan B. We put in the chip seal program. It took a little bit of time to get through the process.
That's all right.
yeah, the process was slightly.
Just one question. I do have one question then. This is a prevailing wage projects then, is that correct?
It is, but yes, it is, that is correct.
Okay, well, it's probably better maybe that goes on that type of project versus maybe some of the other ones. I think that's a pretty fast moving project, so I think we'll probably get a little better bang for our bucks at that higher price even, you know.
Yeah.
So,
These move quite quickly.
All right, someone gonna make a motion
I'll make the motion on the word should be there.
to accept to approve the resolution of support for the cost participation agreement. So move. Okay, and then Alan, Joe and Alan. All right. You can get laggy out there.
Okay. Well, I was trying to keep him away.
All right, all right. Any other discussion? Kylie?
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
yes,
Gilman.
Yes. All right.
It's the Joe show.
Yeah. Right.
He gets to be vice chair and he takes over the whole meeting.
All right, okay. Silverlake culvert replacement. We saw this one coming, so.
Yeah, this is a continuation of what we discussed back in June.
Right.
We were looking at doing the slope flattening and extending the culvert, trying to do a little bit more out there while the opportunity presented itself, but there's a lot of utilities and other items that made it quite difficult to accomplish all that within the time frame of this year. So we took a lot of those extra items that would have been an opportunity to address and pulled them out to get the culvert fixed before the construction season here is over. So we put out a bid, very short order last week and got bids back this afternoon. So sorry you didn't get to see it before, but
Oh, yeah, that's,
yeah. So essentially it's a 30-inch culvert that's going to be placed back underneath Silverlake Road, compact and put back together. We aligned it so that way for future projects we're able to extend it. So we planned on those future items of work that we had to eliminate for this, so we can, when we go in there to do something, we'll have the ability. The original cost estimate to do the full scope was about 150,000. Working through the numbers and taking items out, we were right around the 50,000 mark, and we received one bid from Elmer Crane and Tozer for $68,850.
we got one bid, we need to do it.
It didn't appear unreasonable in any one item. It's a busy road with a deep culvert.
And for remembering going back, when we had the other culvert fail on Silver Lake, granted, there was a lot of water, so we had a lot of pumping costs there. But that was about $150,000 just to replace the culvert.
Right.
So this is not really outside of the realms of what we would expect, especially this, trying to.
This is deeper than that one too.
Yes, it's a good, one end's probably about 12 feet, the other end's about 15.
Right.
We are gonna have to close the road to do it. So there's a lot of message.
We'll hear about that.
There's a lot of message boards and advanced notification leading into this one.
And
Okay.
talking to the schools, because
Oh my.
it's a major school route, and the Y is gonna have one way in.
What's
one
the
way out.
timeline on this?
If it's a warning to the contractor, we plan to move quite quickly and they can get in there next week to complete it.
Is it, that's not what you.
I was asking.
You were asking, is it 5 days, 7 days, 3 days? I think is what you said.
They're 3 days.
And they have the culvert available
Yeah,
ready?
it's a readily available size. No issues with material.
My only question, and you've probably been out there, is I drive that regularly. How wide is the cut of the pavement? Because it seems to me like there's a pretty good droop to the road there these days.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you're cutting 15 or it looked to me like it should be 100 or more, although I didn't measure it.
Yeah, we can,
It's really,
Yeah.
it's gotten quite a bit worse since you guys have discovered the culvert with the hole in it. The whole area has a
Depression.
large depression droop in it. I wonder, Joe, if you knew how far back you were gonna go.
right now, the plan is for a minimum of 40 feet. So you'll have about 30 feet just to get down to the pipe, and then 5 to 10 feet on either end in order to get to good ground, so that way you're not undermining the existing pavement structure. Maybe we don't have to take out the entire piece of asphalt, and that's something we could accomplish with a bit of milling in the final top course.
Okay, it just drives quite poorly, and if you need extra money in there to make sure that the road is done, I would add that to the.
Well, that's why we have more or less.
So that more or less is good enough for that?
Yeah, because you're not gonna be talking about, I was looking like the total cost for the asphalt that we have here is only about $5,000, so you might double that.
That's in our more or less.
That's covered in the more or less.
Oh, okay.
That's not
Thank-
a good item for this one.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
I have seen some of the culvert ones that we've been doing recently, and I know they're on secondary roads. But they're kind of tight, and I know they're not deep, but they are, to Al's point, you need to make sure you get back far enough to make sure that when that goes back in, that it doesn't settle again.
Yeah, this will be 2 lifts of asphalt minimum,
Sure, okay,
done with the paver.
all right. That's, okay, done with the paper, good, okay.
So
I'll make a motion, we award the work to Commerce for 49,000. No, 68, I put my glasses on, excuse me, $68,850 more or less.
There you go. I hear support.
I'll support.
Carl. Thank you, Carl. All right, any further discussion? Kylie?
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes,
Lehman,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes. All right.
Okay. On the table, you have the proposed schedule for next year. This does take into account the change dates for meetings.
What? They did get it, didn't they? Everybody should. That was in the packet, but.
Oh, was it the packet?
Yeah, it's in the packet.
I did not print it.
Okay, yeah, I have it on here.
So the biggest,
Oh, you got it. Okay.
yeah, the biggest thing is, November, we back it up for Thanksgiving to Tuesday. And for December, we back it up a full week from our normal 4th Thursday, we back it up to the 3rd Thursday. And then the only other thing is really what we need is a decision. Do we do an organizational meeting to talk about committee assignments separately at 6 o'clock on January 6th, or do we wait till a regularly scheduled meeting on the 27th and just take care of everything before the regular meeting?
I would suggest, myself, I would suggest that we, if we have another member on the 6th, fantastic. I think, we could set that up. But if we set it for the 27th, it's gonna be a better chance we're gonna have somebody here with us. And frankly, why have that extra meeting if we can accomplish?
Yeah, it usually doesn't take more than.
Well, and the thing is, we do a 6 o'clock, and if now we've got our chair and our vice chair set up for 2022, that's a done deal. And pretty much we can plan the assignments at that point.
Okay.
So, I mean, we can always put the organizational meeting back on, but I think probably we could do it without at this point, and make 27th organizational regular, starting at 6 o'clock instead.
That work for everything? Okay. And everybody understands, I see there, the rest of the days, there's no issues with, it's always the 4th.
Any thoughts, Carl?
yep, that sounds perfect. We've done that, we did that, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but sounds good.
Do we need a motion on that then?
Yes, approve it. Mainly because it's also falls for our posting of meetings.
Right, that's true. Okay,
On the holiday schedule too.
I'd entertain that motion from somebody if they would. Please.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Carl's made the motion to accept the schedule, minus the 6th.
Yes,
I'll second.
All right, so Carl and
Okay. And then as a separate thing, the holiday schedule is listed here. Let's, everybody has had a chance hopefully to review those. We haven't changed anything, added or subtracted. The Cherry Festival holiday as part of our union contract became, instead of Cherry Festival Friday, it's now the Cherry Festival holiday, and it shifts as per the union contract, and it applies to everybody.
pretty much the entire schedule sheet minus January 6th, so, okay. Any other discussion? Kylie?
Brown,
yes,
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes. All right. We're planned out until the end of 2022. All right.
Okay.
Jay.
So we have we are in the process of finalizing the legal description of the property. We have clarity from Paradise Township. Sorry, used to Pitts. Sorry about that. But we have some information that this is going to be deeded. and they have an attorney that's working through it with us, so we have everything. And the legal description will be going to them, to their attorney, to make sure everything is set. We should have it in hand by middle of next month. It'll be ours, and at which point then we will start negotiating with Grand Traverse Construction as well as the other contractors. We are hiring a separate contractor ourselves for fencing, for security, and for fuel. So our fuel contractor is gonna take care of that. We will be coming back to the board at some point when we get that to also ask for authorization to improve the fuel islands out here. The pumps that are on the fuel island out here were 15 years old when they were moved from the old location to here 20 years ago. So they're rusting out, there's some problems. So we're gonna have that coming as part of it, but we will have, at this point with that new property, we're also gonna have a separate contract for the removal of the trees. So we've got an area marked out. Steve has been out to survey it. He's marked out the buffer that we're leaving with trees on the outside edge to keep the noise from traveling outside. And it's probably gonna end up being slightly more than 15 acres because of the drive. And there's a possibility we will actually be owning the drive as opposed to having an easement across their property. So that will not cost us any additional money.
I was thinking of a question, it's just the pumps here, we don't have a problem with.
The island itself needs to be moved. The tanks are fine. The island itself needs to be expanded. Right now, you can only use 2 pumps out, or 3 pumps out of 6. Because of the spacing of the island. Our trucks are much bigger and they take up a lot of space. So we can't pull in the truck and have a car next to it to access
But if we're
that.
replacing the pumps, we're also.
We're gonna replace
have
60
something that's gonna work with our management system as
Yes.
well.
Yes, it's all gonna be the new, brand new system, all the hardware, all the software, all of the
Track the fuel for the
communications.
vehicle a little better automatically.
So we will have all of that built in to a new system. So, and we are moving forward now. So this is just kind of an update here to let you know. It is taking a long time. We apologize for that, but it is something that they're going through the legalese of having it all transferred and making sure that the state steel is taken care of, getting the money transferred to them. So we are probably going to have the property ready and in our hands by the middle of November. It's our anticipation with them, with their attorney looking over the documentation. And then at that point, Steve will take down the documents and he will take it to the Register of Deeds to get the property description on the rolls and everything so that we have it as ours. And then we'll have somebody in there that start working on getting the trees out.
All right.
So at this point, I don't think I need anything from you. I just wanted to let you know that we are still moving forward and we are getting closer. Next thing we have is the correction of the minutes. We need to make a correction. The individuals from, what's the name of the road? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Sparling Road, I'm sorry. When they came in here, we put in the minutes that the gentleman had lived out there for 21 years. He only has recently moved out there, but he says it had been maintained for 21 years. So
I make a motion, we correct the minutes as listed.
all right, thank you.
Second.
Alan and Joe. Any discussion? Kylie?
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Nealman.
Yes. They're corrected. He's no longer having lived there for 21 years. All right, state maintenance contract. It'll show.
Yep, so this is a resolution to continue to provide service for MDOT. Our contract expired September 30th. CRA negotiated a contract for all the contract maintenance agencies, and I wanted to look at changing the way we share in the equipment costs, similar to another northern county that has a modified contract. So essentially, instead of auditing the actual costs every year and then them sharing in the gain on sale of depreciation, we're gonna use straight Schedule C rates. Historically, we've operated
And let our,
expenses under,
okay,
and we'll accept that rate, not subject
it'll
to.
make it easier for us to manage our asset.
Correct, we'll buy the right equipment. So this gives assurance to them, because they were concerned that we could pull out. We're not gonna pull out, we're gonna continue to operate through December 31st under the old terms, and then on January 1st, we'll start the new method for equipment.
And this really comes about, number one, it's a better workout for us for the rates, but it's also the fact, as he said, when we sell trucks, they take money from us back from the sale.
And we're doing very well on our. on the
Yeah,
sale of
and
our
we don't
trucks.
want
Because of
them-
our-
We
because
will
it
be
has
as part
been,
of our fleet management.
You're right, we've
plan.
got fleet management, right?
Right now that, we're getting rid of some stuff that's been run into the ground, but we're looking to change that. We got about 2 more cycles of old trucks before we have everything that's 2013 and newer.
Okay.
And we just need a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution for the trunk line maintenance agreement.
Your support,
Support.
Carl.
I'll support it.
All right.
Carl's casual there.
I'm sorry.
Any further?
I had to plug in. I was going dead.
Oh. Riley,
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilman.
yes, thank you. All right, brings us to items 7A, B, and C. So item 7A, managers' comments.
We had a all-day training session with our crew, with the entire organization at Networks Northwest on Monday. It was well received by all of our staff, and I'd like to thank Jennifer and Heather and Jason for putting on in very short order to get it done before we switched to nights. Something that I think was very beneficial. A lot of good information has come back from it, and we are definitely seeing an improvement in the morale across the board and the interaction between engineering and field, and fleet is working better with some of the other things. We actually have the possibility of fleet now having some of their technicians who are very good at electrical and finding glitches with electrical. They will be potentially available now to help Haley working on signals. It just came together as, so they can say, hey, we do that they do that all day. They troubleshoot electric. So this is something, we're finding some good interaction between the different groups. And I think it's definitely was a well-received and beneficial thing to have. I also met with the field ops and the fleet maintenance crews without any other supervisors. And they had some concerns that they wanted to address. I was trying to meet with them fairly regularly. COVID came and we couldn't meet in the large groups, but now we're going to be meeting. I come in early and meet with them to let them express their concerns. They have a few, and we're working on getting those fixed. Heather's been kind of spearheading a lot of this for us, and she's going to keep us moving forward on that. Like to say, Kylie had the opportunity today to attend a meeting downstate and then rush her way back here to get to be here for the meeting, but she learned a lot of the new things that people are doing for public relations. And so she's got some really good ideas to help us get the message out for what we have going on and improve our image and get things that actually draw eyes to our page. So that should hopefully help us get the message out, and people will be, saying, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Get it out ahead of time instead of waiting for things. On the good side, last thing for me, all our Peterbilts are up and running. It's amazing when you start calling everybody in the company how quick things get resolved.
That's great.
So we have every truck running. We have the 2 over-the-road trucks that are also running that we can pull the part from if we need it, if something fails. So we have 2 spare there, plus we have 2 additional spares that they were able to get us. So we have all our trucks up and running, and we have 4 additional parts in case anything fails. So the only bad thing is we got one of the parts in originally, and they put it in on a Tuesday. Wednesday at 10 o'clock, it failed.
Oh, no.
So they replaced that part for us, but
Well,
there are issues still, clearly, even with the new one.
there are a lot of things happening right now. I mean, there's a new chip factory, there are new chip factories being built in Texas. And we just signed an agreement, I guess, the nations, we signed some kind of agreement with Taiwan for a number of chips too, so.
Yeah.
We'll see how all that goes.
So overall, we are getting ready also to send out the employee satisfaction survey again. The one that we've done, and we give you guys a briefing after it comes back. We compare it to the previous results. Last year's results were a drastic increase over my first year's results when I first got here. I don't expect to see quite as big of a bump, but I think we've answered a lot of the concerns, and I think we should see even a better result from the employee satisfaction survey this year that we had even last year. So, and that should be coming to you guys no later than December.
All right, anything else, Brad?
That's it for me.
Okay. Commissioner comment. We'll start with you, Carl.
Well, I'd like to thank staff and contractors that we use. We have accomplished a lot of road work. I know it's all winding down here this construction season. I think I'm hoping that the residents of the county really appreciate it. I'm sure they do. And looking at the improvements that have happened as far as our roads here over the last several years, I think we can all be proud of where we're at today versus maybe where we were 10 years ago.
I concur. Joe or Alan?
I don't have anything to add, but I'm really sorry for Bill's passing. I think we'll really miss him. He was I think he did a great job as chairperson, but a little interaction I had with him, I think he was just a genuinely nice guy. I really pray for his family.
I'm all set. You answered my number one question with the trucks, so.
Yes.
All right. Well, I've got a few things. First of all, the meeting Tuesday, I'd like Alan to join me with that meeting.
Okay.
Because I tend to get a little scatterbrained sometimes and my mind's in a million places.
Sure.
And having another commissioner there will make sure that I actually bring some accurate information back to the board.
Okay. We were looking, I think, at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock?
Was that gonna work for you?
That'll be fine.
9 o'clock Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're going over the cost sharing with townships and that, so.
Yeah, Bill and I have been working on that, and it's a pretty big deal in a lot of ways. So the other thing is, I don't know what standard protocol is, but I'd like to, if we could, starting tomorrow, half-mast the flag, at least for the weekend, in Bill's honor. And beyond that, if we haven't named it, our drive out and, Kingsley or wherever, if we have a road to name, I think it would be kind of neat. So
Do we have to worry about next Friday for tax bills, funeral for anything? Is that exempt from any?
Yeah, you're fine. We are not there to talk business. There is no open meetings thing. If you're there for that type of thing, even if you're at a training session and you're all there, that's fine. As long as you're not talking about business or talking about making decisions, then you're fine. This is something that we are going to pay our respects for the man, and that is all. So.
all right. That's all that I had.
Just as a side note for Carl, because we just had this on our staff update today. Wayne announced that our primaries, we currently are at 86% fair and good, which is probably going to put us
wonderful.
again well into the top 10 in the state.
Well, Well, I know, you know, the three counties here, Wexford, us and Leelanau were in that top 10 and I would certainly hope that we don't slide out of it, you know?
No, yeah, we are definitely moving up still.
In fact, I do have one more thing, and just something to our crews. I was off on, I went out to Neotawana, but I went down the center, and where we take it off, trying to, for whatever reason, I can't think of the road name right now. But basically where you cut off just past the township, the hall, and it just, instead of following center out, you go straight. What is that?
It's not Devil's Dot.
Seven Hills.
What is, right,
Seven
Seven
Hills.
Hills, thank you. The bottom of Seven Hills, where, at the four-way there, there's a spot. It could be patched right now or sealed or something. But if a plow truck hits that this winter, it's gonna blow it open and it's just one little spot. It's not that big a deal, but it's just one little spot. And I just noticed it as that. And
Kylie, you can put that as a request for him in the morning.
other than that, I don't have anything else. So that brings us to public comment. Any in public comment? Seeing none, that would bring us to
Motion to adjourn.
we have support. Show support. There's aye. All right, we are adjourned. Okay.